Well, the Singapore Red Cross is committing $100,000 for urgent medical supplies to Sri Lanka. It has also launched a public fundraising effort to buy medicine and equipment for the country. Some fear the Sri Lankan healthcare system is close to collapse, with many emergency surgeries called off because of a lack of medical supplies. We have the Secretary General of the Singapore Red Cross, Benjamin William, here to tell us more. Mr. William, if I can look, last week, the Health Ministry saying shortage of 40 essential medicines and dwindling supplies of 140 key medications. And that was a week ago, a week after. You would describe the situation as very dire, would you not?
Yes, thank you for having me on the show. Indeed, the situation in Sri Lanka is very dire. I think Sri Lanka is facing its worst economic crisis since its independence in 1948. Inflation is at 18-19% and is expected to go up to 28 to 30%. Government has stopped the import of several essential items because of the lack of foreign exchange. And this has put even more pressure on the supplies already within the country. So the things that are on very short supply are food and essential basic necessities, some of which can still be got in Sri Lanka, but prices have gone through the roof. But the situation is worse affected is in the medical sector. There's a short supply of many essential medical items, including medicine and equipment. This has implications on two fronts. Number one, many of the hospitals have stopped issuing life-saving medical medicines, which means that it puts patients at risk. Secondly, because of the shortage of equipment and medicine, many of the operations and procedures have been put on hold. And some of these are life-saving and life-enhancing procedures. And this affects those who are already vulnerable the most. And that's why Singapore Red Cross has decided in the first instance to focus on trying to get some essential medical equipment and medicine into Sri Lanka.
All right, Mr. William, you talk about essential medical equipment, but what you have outlined is a great deal that is essential or will be essential very shortly for many patients in Sri Lanka. With just $100,000, how are you going to prioritize what Sri Lanka needs? So chronic illnesses such as cardiac conditions, emergency procedures requiring stitching equipment, basic anesthetics, for example, or things like childbirth, tubes for newborns. I was reading an account of them running short of that. How are you going to prioritize what they need with limited supplies and money that you have right now?
Yes. So we as I said, we have committed 100,000 in the first instance. And I emphasize first instance, we are still trying to raise funds from the public in order to be able to do more. And we hope that our other partners will come through as well. But even whatever amount that we raise, we will not be able to meet all the needs. So we are in close touch with both the medical authorities in Sri Lanka, as well as our partners, the Sri Lanka Red Cross, to identify which are the most needed items, number one, and which makes sense for us in Singapore to be able to get the supplies and send to them. So, for example, you mentioned the endotracheal tubes for infants, and this is a great need there because they are totally run short of it. And I'm glad to say that we have now got in touch with a supplier who can supply us with some of these, and these are things that we will prioritize. There is no right and wrong. We try to do our best, identify what is needed most, what we can help with best, and then we get it done.
Thanks so much for all that. Benjamin Williams, Secretary General from the Singapore Red Cross.